News now about the war between Israel and Hamas. The Hamas-run health ministry, in Gaza is now saying that overnight strikes on Thursday in central Gaza killed at least 23 people there, while efforts are also now underway to secure a ceasefire in Paris. A word about the casualties now. Casualties were taken to the Al-Aqsa hospital in Deir al-Balah. The ministry says more than 29,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's war after the October 7 terror attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has meanwhile presented a plan for a post-war Gaza to his security cabinet late Thursday, marking the first formal presentation of a plan forward. Joining me now for more is journalist Karim Al-Gawari from Cairo. Karim, good morning. Talks about a deal were being held in Cairo, and now we're hearing that talks might be held in Paris. Where are we exactly with talks?
Well, obviously something is cooking. The head of the Politburo of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, was for several days in Cairo talking with Egyptian intelligence. And now there seems to be enough common ground that we have now an announced meeting in Paris this weekend with the head of Mossad, David Barnea, and the head of CIA, William Burns, the Qatari Prime Minister, and the head of the Egyptian intelligence, Abbas Kamel. So the question is, we don't know exactly how the gap we have seen in the last 2 weeks, the negotiations stopped 2 weeks ago, how these gaps were filled by now, because at that time, Hamas basically offered to release prisoners, hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners, and most important, in exchange for a complete stop of the war. So we don't know how this gap was really close. We don't know anything about the substance, but of course there is an urgency. Israel is announced an offensive against the city of Rafah, and we have the upcoming months of Ramadan, and when we have the situation of despair in the Gaza Strip of famine, then the Islamic world might be even get more furious than it is already.
Meanwhile, there also appears to be a post-war plan for Gaza with the Israel War Cabinet. What more do you know about this?
Well, it's sketchy. Netanyahu talks about the demilitarized Gaza Strip. He talks about that the Israeli military, the IDF, should be able to move in Gaza all the time, free at will. He's talking about that the IDF has some kind of control towards the Egyptian border, and he's talking about local elements with administrative experience that should take over. And then after all this, there should be some kind of reconstruction going on. There's so many question marks and doubts about the whole thing. One of them is that, of course, if the IDF still moves in the Gaza Strip, there will be some kind of Palestinian resistance. The Egyptians will not accept some kind of Israeli control towards their border. That would be also against the Camp David peace agreement. But most important, there is nobody until now ready to foot the bill for reconstruction. Netanyahu, I think, is hoping that the Gulf states like Saudi and the Emirates will do this, but they don't say they're not ready to do that.
Thanks so much for that update. Karim Al-Gawari speaking to us from Egypt's capital, Cairo. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.